What's up, people? I'm Shaggy, the Opinionated Hippie, continuing my deep dive into covers albums in search of the best covers album. I went into this with a pretty bad attitude, I'll admit. The one I'm going to do today, Pickin on Pink Floyd, a Bluegrass tribute, for two reasons. The reason I started this deep dive is because I don't like covers albums. Usually if I listen to a covers album, all I want to do is go listen to the original. I understand their purpose in like the day and age when the internet did not exist. But now that the internet did not exist and I can literally listen to and or order anything almost immediately at my fingertips, covers albums seem less essential or less important or less of an opportunity to expose somebody to new music. Though I have been proven wrong a couple times in this deep dive. That was the first reason I wasn't looking forward to this, because I'm really not looking forward to any of these covers albums. This is an exercise in masochism. But also, I don't like bluegrass. It's the one genre that I really just don't ever listen to. I never seek out new bluegrass artists. There's a new bluegrass release. I'm not like, oh, let's check that out. Can't say the same with almost any other genre other than maybe nu metal. Not a big nu metal fan. Do they still do nu metal? And you? Pretty much the only bluegrass I know, things Fish did, and anything Garcia's done with his bluegrass sort of albums back in the day, and my friends in college who decided to learn to play the banjo and then learned a bunch of bluegrass songs. Talking to you, Big John. So anyways, Pickin on Pink Floyd. 12 tracks. I wasn't too excited about this, but when I was done, I was really pleasantly surprised with how much I enjoyed it. Not all of it was successful. I think some of it was just a little bit too unambitious and pretty much just played it too straight to be interesting. And so I didn't appreciate that. What I'm going to do is I listen to the tracks. Every track either gets 1 point or 0 points, and that's it. We add up the numbers, we do a little percentage, and then we rank them. This is the 21st one I've done so far. So I'm going to talk about the songs, and then at the end, I will show where this falls among all the others. The main artist on this, it doesn't seem like it's a band. There's a man named David West who he plays on every single track, and then he's got guest musicians that appear on some of the tracks. On some of the tracks, it's just him playing all the instruments. So this does seem like whoever David West is, a passion project from him. There's a whole bunch of bluegrass tribute albums out there I discovered. We're going to, every once in a while, circle back and pick one up. We're going to there's a lot of covers albums out there. This project is going to go on forever. But anyways, yeah, interesting set list. We got some deep cuts, which I appreciate. One of the reasons I gravitated toward this one when I discovered the list of all the bluegrass albums is a couple of the songs like Run Like Hell. I really wanted to see how they approached Run Like Hell. Lucifer Sam's on here. Astronomy Domini is on here. I was like, how do these come across in a bluegrass vibe? My main complaint for the ones that did not work is they're all instrumentals, which I immediately was disappointed by. I wanted to see what the sort of country bluegrass twangy vocal would be like for some of these songs, but they're all instrumental. And for the ones that don't work, it's pretty much a straightforward rendition of the song with the main melody being played either on guitar, I think almost always on guitar, sometimes on a fiddle or violin. And so it just became like this predictable thing. We'll set up the chords and we'll play the melody on a guitar. We'll play the melody somehow. And one thing you don't realize listening to Pink Floyd until the melody is played instrumentally and you don't get to hear the words is the music that Floyd is playing is over here, and the lyrics and the vocals are usually pretty kind of slow and drawn out, and like, we don't need no, the music's like ba-da-da, but the words are like, we don't, there's this plotting to the lyrics that work when they're sung just because of the power of the voice and the power of the words. But when they're not sung, there's this odd contrast, especially in a bluegrass scenario where the music's all like upbeat and hyper and the lyrics are almost dragging the entire thing down. And there's a number of songs where that's what happens. Opens up with See Emily Play. Awesome choice. Awesome. I think they do a pretty good job with this, and it's not bad, but the original is such a psych pop classic, and those sort of jarring segues from the verse into, I guess it's the chorus, and the sort of psych frenzy of the original and the production of the original and the fact that you have a full band and not just these acoustic instruments, I think you lose some of the absolute genius psychedelic fun of the original. So while I kind of like the energy of this, ultimately it was kind of a no. I think the original, the melody is even highlighted more, the psychedelicness of it is highlighted more, and all those crazy spiky edges of the original are kind of streamlined, so much so that it robs the song of some of its magic. So I went no on See Emily Play. Next up is Money, which is, it's more upbeat. I like the upbeat energy, but then we get the guitar and then a violin or just playing I can't even think of the words. I'm all right, Jack, keep your hands. They're just playing the melody, and it's just, it's not too exciting, and it kind of does not flow with the upbeat energy of the instruments. The guitar gets some nice licks in. The soloing is good in this. It's not just like a copy of the Money solo, which is sort of iconic. And so there is an attempt to kind of do something a little more original, but the song itself, the dragging out of the lyrical part, is just doesn't work for me. But then we get Astronomy Domini, and that kind of darkness of this song, it works. There's an eerie vibe to this. They're able to take that psychedelic eeriness and translate it into, like, more acoustic instruments. Good job, David West and your buddies. Astronomy Domini absolutely works. And I like hearing it in an acoustic sort of darkness. I like the acoustic darkness. We need more acoustic darkness. Next up, another deep cut off Relics, Julia Dream. And I don't think this is a very interesting song to begin with, to be honest. It's a folky, psyche ballad. But this one is kind of longer. I think it's a couple minutes longer than the original. It's slower. It's more dramatic. I think this kind of works. I think this actually takes what I think is, an interesting, very dated song of its era and makes it a little more compelling and a little more engaging. And I actually think this works. Maybe it works because it's sort of I don't go back to Relics and, enjoy that album all that much. So maybe that's one of the reasons. But, something like See Emily Play, which is obviously dated. It's obviously a late 60s psych song, but that's what makes it work. Julia Dream, obviously a late 60s folk psych song that just kind of doesn't work. This, I think, makes it work. I'm a fan of this. If you're a fan of the original, my apologies. I'm not really. I think this is an improvement. Another Brick of the Wall starts off really strong, but then when we get to the melody of the we don't need, I'm like, nah, man. Like, the energy is good until we get to like the vocal part. The end is strong. Whenever the melody is not being played, I think there's some interesting stuff in here. But more than anything, I think I'm just kind of like, it just doesn't work for me. I don't know how to approach the melody. I don't know what to do. I don't have a solution to that problem. I'm just saying these ears really didn't want to go back and listen to this track again. Money and Another Brick in the Wall. Two of the more iconic songs, two of the ones that I think are a little bit safer in their interpretations. Run Like Hell works like hell. It's kind of light, kind of upbeat. There's still an attempt to emphasize the original, but when I think it's the banjo comes in with the da 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 da, you're like, oh yeah, this is kind of good. And then the verses work. Like, they're not, whatever they're doing with the verses, you can tell there's this, like, I'm gonna run it. It just really works. It's nice and dynamic. There's a lot going on. There's a brightness to it that works for this song. I wish it would be darker. I went on YouTube and saw this, and there's a comment where some guy is like, hey, are there any other versions of this in banjo? Because I have an idea to, like, do a darker version of this, a bluegrass version. So I commented to the guy to be like, hey man, if you've done this version or like anything, let me know, because I want to check it out. So if I hear back from this guy and there's a darker bluegrass version of Run Like Hell, I will drop that in a future video. But I like this. I thought it was pretty good. Wish You Were Here, pretty good. Starts with like a full strum. It's really nice. We're not going bow, 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 bow. We're really kind of bringing like a full band energy to it. Yes, the melody is there played on guitar, but for a while it's just, I think, acoustic guitar and maybe a banjo. I don't even think the banjo's there. Maybe it's a couple guitars. And then the bass comes in sporadically and the banjo comes in sporadically. So the way the song is layered, the use of the bass, not throughout the entire song, but only particular parts, absolutely works. Wish You Were Here, which to me would be one of the songs, don't touch that. If you're going to cover Pink Floyd, don't touch Wish You Were Here. They touch it. Dave West touches it. And good job, David. This is a really good cover. Breathe in the Air works, upbeat, bouncy. The opening of vocals when they're like, breathe, like a Jerry Garcia type, just really quick strum. You know, that breathe. Really nice the way that's done. Really nice sort of walk-in bass line throughout the whole thing that keeps it moving really nicely. Very dynamic. There's a lot of different instruments helping to sort of carry the load and carry the vibe. The melody is beautiful. Like, I absolutely really, really like this. Like, I think this is absolutely, like, if I were to playlist anything off this, it's the Breathe in the Air. I think this is absolutely kind of a beautiful performance. Lucifer Sam, just too much like the original. Don't really want the guitar playing the melody. That same thing. You're just kind of echoing something that I would rather hear sung. Comfortably Numb, way too sticking to the original, though I do like sort of the upbeat switch when they get to the chorus. That works really well, but it just, for the most part, I mean, that's another one. It's kind of hard to mess with Comfortably Numb. Time kind of works. I don't know why, I don't know how, but it works. It's fast paced from the beginning. We don't get this dramatic opening. We do get a nice little like harmonica that comes in when we come into the tired of lying in the sunshine. Like, that vibe is really cool. The transition from like the verse, I don't know if it's verse chorus or what that is in the way it's structured, but from like the more taken away part into the slower part when the harmonicum comes in and then the guitar comes in, it just really nice flavor is added. It's nice and dynamic. The song works really well. Yeah, Time, they pull off Time. And then the last song is Goodbye Blue Sky. It sounds good. I love the way it sounds, but it's covering an amazing song. Too close to the original. And this is one, and it's probably the case with a number of these, but more so than any, this is one where the lyrics and the vocals and like the actual content of what is being sung here, you miss that contrast with what the music is. I do like the part where anytime it's the ooh vocal part, it's the banjos just kind of strumming really quick to do that ooh. I like that. There are moments in all of these songs which I think David West and his partners do a good job of making solid musical decisions. I just wish they had found a way to be a little more ambitious with some of them. So, yeah, so that's it. Out of the 12 songs, it was 6 that I think absolutely succeed. Astronomy Domini succeeds. Julia Dream, Run Like Hell, Wish You Were Here, Breathe, Time. Those are the ones that I think just kind of hit it. The other ones, just a little too close to the original. They compelled me to want to go listen to the originals. So, yeah, that's a 6 out of 12. That's 50%. If I had to rank these out of the other 20, this album out of the other 20 that I already did, it is right there at number 10, just above the middle, just a little bit in the top half of these covers albums, which was a huge surprise to me because I don't like bluegrass, but I don't like covers albums. But somehow a bluegrass covers album is just, I enjoyed this. I enjoyed half of this. And the stuff I didn't enjoy, again, it wasn't horrible. It didn't make me cringe. It's the limitations of the entire concept of covering somebody else's song, especially when you don't have electronics. When, I think that to me is the interesting thing about doing bluegrass albums is you really are limited to acoustic instruments. You don't have the luxury of synthesizers or production tricks or, washes of sound that you can throw in to mix things up. Where I think a lot of the more interesting ones, you're dealing with electric bands who are really using the full range of instruments to make things interesting, you're limited. And so I think it's more challenging for bluegrass. So good job, David West and all your friends. For the most part, considering the bad attitude with which I approached this, I think this was a win. That's all I got. Thanks for watching. If you check this out or have checked this out or are a fan of bluegrass or you just want to leave a comment, just leave a comment. You don't need an excuse. Just, be a decent human being. We're here to discuss music and praise music and love music. And let's bring joy into it, right? My summer's here and the time is right for doing nothing but relaxing and listening to music and doing other things. Gonna go play some disc golf and kick some butt. It's the new season. All right, that's it. I'm done. I'm rambling. Peace. Talk to you later.